a first-time director.
It's always interesting to me.
Yeah, having never made a film before,
Where directors come from.
I didn't know what the standard protocol was.
The director, designer, and an architect.
Architecture degree from Columbia.
Yeah.
Pioneering de-aging.
It's really the beginning of a whole new era of filmmaking.
Really had a goal of pushing that to the next level.
Digitalizing someone down in there.
You'll all be wearing these next year.
Filming not just a regular movie, but for 3D as well.
The next generation of 3D cinematography.
Joe wanted to make it immersive 3D kind of window, and it was a lot of foresight on Joe's and Disney's part.
Ambitiously, using CGI not just for a few scenes, but the entire movie.
It was really about innovating technology.
He comes at this film with a unique perspective
Taking things that we already knew and pushing the envelope.
that really creates something new.
I think that we're in a transitional time where the next generation is now going to try to find another frontier in all of this.
Joseph Kosinski went straight for the top. He's not fucking around. He's done in his first movie what most directors spend their entire career working towards. One would expect this movie to be a mess then, with that amount of work. There's no way it can be decent, right? Well.
I did everything! Everything you ever asked! Every idea man has ever had about the universe up for grabs. I created the perfect system!
This movie is about two things: the internal drama of a father and son tale and the external themes of perfectionism and how these two components marry together to give us Tron Legacy. But we can't talk about perfectionism without first talking about the architect turned filmmaker that designed this movie, Joseph Kosinski.
I've had really good luck with first-time directors.
Let's not beat around the bush. Joseph Kosinski brought an incredibly strong vision to the table when developing Tron Legacy, the sequel to the groundbreaking visual effects sci-fi film of 1982, Tron. Look carefully, and you will see an obvious correlation between Kosinski's experience as an architect and what he wants to say with these characters. A commentary on what most architects wrestle with. A commentary on perfectionism.
And certainly there are a lot of themes having to do with
Perfectionism, the pursuit of something absolute or complete, is the desire for many architects. Part of Kosinski's superpower here is his strong vision. I would say it's what made his conviction so strong despite being a first-time director.
My architectural background actually was a great kind of training for a job like this.
There is an attention to detail, pursuit of aesthetic harmony, a host of creative problem solving, and precision in execution on display that is seen in the set design, costuming, visual effects, and direction. However, while perfectionism can lead to an incredibly strong vision, high quality of work, and breakthrough in innovations, it can also be a double-edged sword. It can sometimes hinder progress or create strain on creativity to create new things. And this pain point here is something every architect must deal with. And by no accident, this very problem provides the backbone of Tron Legacy's central theme and driving philosophy behind our antagonist's motivation.
Am I still to create the perfect system? Yeah.
Now, Tron Legacy centers around a father and son tale in which Sam Flynn, the son of legendary inventor Kevin Flynn, searches for his missing father in the grid, a digital playground of sorts. There he discovers that Kevin has been trapped for 20 years hiding from Clue, a rogue program that Kevin created. Clue is bent on escaping the grid and conquering the real world. Together with Cora, a program loyal to Kevin, they must stop Clue and find a way to escape before both worlds are destroyed. Now, that's Tron Legacy's plot, but what about its story? What is it trying to say underneath the cat and mouse race to escape the grid? Well, this is where things get interesting. You see, Kevin created Clue to alleviate the stress of developing the grid. He tasked him to create the perfect world.
You will create the perfect system.
But when the grid spawned a new kind of life spontaneously birthed from the sea of simulation, the ISOs, it changed Flynn's view on perfection. That life is beautiful not because it is in perfect order, as he designed it, but because it's free.
A miracle. Like flowers in a wasteland, where all information was free and open.
Clue doesn't like this. Clue's subsequent actions and the world Kosinski shows us supports this. Within Clue's grid, programs are governed by strict protocols and hierarchies, reflecting a society where conformity and efficiency are prioritized above all else. This regimented order, enforced by Clue's authoritarian rules, stifles creativity and diversity. But where does this desire for perfectionism come from? Perfectionism is idealism turned sour.
I'm I'm not your father, Sam.
An ideal or idealism itself being the pursuit of chasing something higher.
In there is a new world. In there is our future. In there is our destiny.
Perfectionism is what happens when freedom is taken away from idealism, when we look to control. However, I think an even more interesting question is, why is perfectionism a thing? Alright, this is where we get into the real nitty-gritty. Perfectionism can be born from a variety of psychological factors, our upbringing, cultural or childhood experiences. But most commonly, and what we see in Tron Legacy, is that Kevin Flynn's initial desire for a perfect world comes from a set of cognitive patterns. Let me explain. Cognitive distortions, such as black and white thinking or catastrophizing, can reinforce perfectionism. People generally with these thought patterns may view mistakes as failures, making it harder to accept imperfection. This is Kevin's mindset initially when he creates Clue, but with the introduction of the ISOs, isomorphic algorithms like Cora, they change Flynn's worldview on what perfect is.
The thing about perfection is that it's unknowable. You wouldn't know that because I didn't when I created you.
What this results in is a growing disparity between Kevin and Clue, as Clue was created in Kevin's old image. Clue's programming, his cognitive patterns let's say, sees the ISOs as a threat, as something imperfect. This fever pitch between ideologies boils to the point where Clue throws a coup, usurping his creator with a misguided sense of conviction. But one has to ask, what's Kaczynski trying to say by all this? Why was this a story he was yearning to tell? Well,
my big goal was to really make it feel real.
An architect's mind thrives on precision. Every angle, every measurement is purposeful. Kaczynski's perfectionism in Tron Legacy can be seen as an extension of this psychological need for control over the environment. The mind of an architect often gravitates towards idealization, the desire to create something that is not only functional, but transcendent, something that pushes the boundaries of what is possible.
It's incredibly beautiful. The effects, the look of it. You know, at first glance, just how unique it looks. No one's ever seen anything like it.
And, my favorite expression is that it should remind you of something you've never seen before.
Architects often face a deep psychological challenge, the fear of imperfection, the other side of the coin to idealism. A single miscalculation or design flaw can disrupt the integrity of an entire project. This fear of imperfection drives him to create worlds that are unblemished, worlds where every detail is controlled, every angle considered, and every visual element precisely executed.
So I wanted to build as many sets as possible. I wanted the materials to be real materials, glass, concrete, steel. So it had this kind of visceral quality to it. I wanted it to feel like we took motion picture cameras into the world of Tron and shot it.
It's a form of psychological reassurance. If everything is perfect on screen, the narrative too can feel seamless and complete.
He's got an incredible eye, he's got an incredible design sense, and I've never ever worked with a director that spent as much time and as much focus on the production design of the film as much as Joe has.
But good storytelling is still there, and there's, places we can go that nobody's been.
A digital pioneer, a new frontier, is what the world of Tron offers.
Where every day you go to work and you realize that you may do something that no one has ever done before.
It's a chance to really do something very new.
It's about creativity, new life, a new world, and to me, this is why Flynn's disc is just so damn important.
I mean, the idea of Flynn going into this new world and making all these discoveries, that was a metaphor for what we did as workers.
This is the disc of an idealist. As we've previously gone through, the mind of a perfectionist cannot innovate, cannot create like an idealist. The mind of a perfectionist is focused on order, on consolidating. They manage to stifle creativity because of this. It now making perfect sense as to why Flynn's disc holds the only key to Clue's escape, that he requires the innovations, the mind of an idealist to power his order, his crusade on the imperfect. But to throw it back to Kaczynski, this need or desire for control over imperfection in his films may be the psychological extension of an architect's obsessive attention to detail. But now, one has to ask, does Kaczynski's actions sound more like Kevin Flynn or more like Clue? And to me, this is where things get truly interesting. You see, I believe Tron Legacy is Kaczynski's meditation on his own internal dialogue, wrestling with the two sides of the same coin. The characters, Kevin Flynn and Clue, are him, the idealist in Kevin Flynn and the unchecked perfectionist in Clue. Flynn represents the visionary idealism of a creator striving for balance and harmony, whilst Clue embodies the dangers of obsessive, unchecked perfectionism, where control and idealism spiral into tyranny and destruction.
The idealism, a lot of that idealism has gotten lost.
This balance between humanity and technology that we struggle with.
Kaczynski's examination of these two characters reflects a discussion he wants to have about the pursuit of the flawless, and how it can lead to both transcendence and downfall.
The opportunity of technology, but also the dangers of it.
So where does Sam fit into all this? Well,
this idea of a man with two sons, a digital son and a biological son, and that interesting dramatic triangle that's created. There's just a lot of potential there to do something interesting.
Kaczynski's point, much like the first movie, is to show that we give up what makes us human, what makes something beautiful and alive, when we hand over our thinking to machines.
Some programs will be thinking soon.
Won't that be grand? Computers and the programs will start thinking and the people will stop.
What makes us human, what makes us alive, is our ability to be flawed, to be spontaneous, to think creatively, to pose new questions and think outside the box, literally. To be free.
We got to separate the two out. There's creativity, there's technology, but technology is not necessarily creative.
Sam Flynn is the embodiment of freedom here, a defiant spirit who rejects the perfect, controlled world Clue has created. His rebellion, driven by a deep need for autonomy and connection, stands in stark contrast to Clue's pursuit of flawless order. Sam represents the beauty of imperfection. Freedom is messy, unpredictable, and flawed, yet it holds the potential for growth, creativity, and true human connection, things that perfection can never offer.
And I like to think that in the process of making this film, some of that idealism is going to come back.
It's this spark that Sam possesses that reignites his father's hope, not through perfection, but by breaking through the rigid, lifeless world Clue has built.
You know, are we, going to become programs, or are we going to be users?
What would be the champion in the future? Would it be the mainframe or the personal computer? It was kind of like an authoritarian government.
I said move!
Versus a democratic government.
This is the key to a new order. This code disc means freedom.
Proving that it is in freedom, not perfection, that life and beauty are found. And to me, that's a pretty epic vision to execute on your first film. Ooh, jump scare. Yeah, cool. So thanks for watching the video, guys. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to just take 10 minutes to watch one of these videos. It really means a lot to me. What also means a lot to me is my Illuminati subscribers who back this channel, the ones that keep it alive and allow me to do stuff like this. Alexis, RJ, Brandon, Cameron, Carson, Christos, Crafting, Daniel, David, Draco, Jared, Lance, Sasha, Bias, Unlucky Dreamer, Ziggy, Amir, Bruce Wayne, Marikid, 12Cat, Fred, and the Human Rocket. You guys are the ones that keep this channel afloat. I'm eternally grateful. Because I so rarely get to talk personally on this channel, I'm using this as a platform just to let you guys peer into my life for a second. I've signed up for an Ironman this year. I'm going to be running 42 kilometers, swimming 4 kilometers, and riding a bike for 180 kilometers. I am training for this religiously whilst making content, but if you want to see what I get up to when I'm not talking about movies, when I'm training for something like this, you guys can follow me on Instagram at Mitch_Letcher. Up to you guys if you want to follow along. There's no pressure, but yeah, you can see what I get up to when I'm not making videos. With that being said, I'll see you in the next one. I got a really cool one for you guys. All right, ciao.